Alright guys, what's going on? This is Digital Product for the Digital Review. Now this is my first ever episode. I actually started this on Instagram back when they had 15-second video clips, and I actually did a 15-second movie review that a lot of people liked. My life just got crazy busy, so I stopped. Fortunately, I have more time now, and I am watching a lot more movies, so I wanted to take this to YouTube and give you guys full reviews now. Now keep in mind, these are completely my views only, and these will be spoiler-free reviews, meaning I will not talk about anything in great detail that has to do with the plot or anything that has to do with the conclusions of these movies. Alright, with that being said, I just saw a movie a couple days ago called Don't Breathe, directed by Fede Alvarez, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who's only directed one movie prior to this, which was the Evil Dead remake back in 2013, which I actually really liked. I'm a huge fan of gore. I'm glad they revamped it. They changed a few things around. The critics really did not like it. I think it got something like 62% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is completely fine. I don't give a shit about ratings like that. I enjoyed it, and that's all that matters for me as a fan. Now let's get into the cast of this movie, and I hope I pronounce all these names correctly. So we have Dylan Mignette as Alex. He's actually the strongest part in this group. Daniel Zavato as Money, who was in the creepy movie that came out last year that really just blew my mind, It Follows. If you guys haven't seen that, go check that out. That's an amazing thriller horror film. It's great. And Jane Levy as Rocky, who's pretty much the main protagonist in this film that the movie really centers around. Now if you guys saw the Evil Dead remake, you saw that she was also the main star of that movie. And we have our main antagonist, Stephen Lang, as the blind man. Now, it's a very small cast of only 4 people, 5 if you include the dog, but, you know. Alright, down to the short synopsis. A trio of reckless thieves breaks into a house of a wealthy blind man, thinking they'll get away with the perfect heist. They're wrong. Okay, so what this is in a nutshell, the movie kicks off to a great start, which shows these 3, who really work together and play off each other, breaking into someone's house, stealing items, and selling it basically for profit. This is their 9 to 5, it seems like. The character Money comes to the group with a tip that he's acquired, telling the group, hey, I found a house, one man lives there. He acquired a huge sum of money after his daughter was killed by someone else in an automotive accident. So the group is with it. Money proceeds to tell him that this is going to be the biggest score they've ever encountered. The crew gets interested. They start scoping the guy's place out. He really lives in the shitty part of Detroit. Takes place in Detroit, by the way. So the scenery, the cityscape they show of whatever part of Detroit this is really urbanized. It's really poverty-stricken, which really sets the tone for a lot of these characters. They're kind of down on their luck. They have nothing to lose. They just want to get in, get the money, get out, and start new lives. So after they come to the conclusion that yes, we are going to break into this guy's house, they go scope it out. As they approach, they notice the man walk by, walking his dog, and they see that he has a walking stick, indicating to us that this man is blind. So they think it's going to be a walk in the park, a cakewalk. They're completely wrong. First of all, it takes about 20 minutes just to get in this guy's house because he has bars on all the windows. He just really has this place locked up like a fortress, which indicates to the character Money that, hey, no pun intended, this guy has to have a lot of money in here. Now, without giving too much away, I wanted to give my thoughts on some of the pros of the movie. Like I mentioned, this is set somewhere in Detroit. It's a very urbanized area, very low income. Actually, the blind man's house is the only occupied house on the block. Everything else is vacant. Everything's run down. They really give you this sense of this guy lives in a shithole, and if I call the police, no one's coming to get me. Next, you have the menacing antagonist played by Stephen Lang, who is an absolute beast. Physically, mentally, this guy is just terrifying. Now you may think just because he's blind, he's going to be an easy guy to go around, but you have to understand his other senses are heightened. Any little sound you make in the house, he is going to know exactly where in the house you are, and you cannot do anything about it. Alright, next, I really loved the suspenseful, fast-paced music. Though a lot of this movie did not have music in it to create that illusion of just pure silence, the areas of the film that did have music really created a sense of panic and stress.
I think we had this on hanging on something. Yeah. I don't really remember, but...
Alright, next. Jump scares. Now, I really hate jump scares in movies, horror and thriller movies in particular. In modern and especially American cinema, I believe this is a cheap ploy to kind of give you a sense of, oh, jump scares, it has to be a scary movie. When in fact, you can actually create fear inside by other elements. So that being said, the jump scares in this movie, which didn't happen too frequently, actually made a lot of sense to what was going on in the scene. Now, to my cons. The movie's called Don't Breathe, so you would think that every move you make has to be really muffled for this blind man to not know where you are in the house at all times. There's a lot of times where these characters are bickering with each other, especially at the beginning of the film, which creates so much noise it's really hard how someone would not awaken from their sleep hearing this. It also helped seeing this in XD, which actually amplified everything around me so I could hear everything in Dolby Digital sound. Another con was the characters. Other than the character of Rocky, I really didn't care for this character Alex, or Money for that matter, who was a 2-bit wannabe gangster. They really could have used someone else that looked like they were actually from Detroit. Overall, I thought this was a really fun, suspenseful movie. I jumped about 3 or 4 times. The gore was great. A lot of the fight scenes really looked realistic, and the plot twist really come out of left field. You think something's gonna happen, this happens, and then another twist happens, and then another twist happens, so it really does keep you on the edge of your seat, especially in the third act of the film. Speaking of my favorite scene in the movie, a scene they actually show in the trailer, where the two characters are in pure darkness, emulating what the blind man sees 24/7. So it's a really cool swap, putting our characters in this situation that this man's already used to. Now, I give this movie a 4 out of 5 rating because I love movies that can be plausible. So even though I may not be breaking into houses, I could be potentially living next to someone that is the character of Stephen Lang, the blind man. It really does create this real life feel and shows the desperation that people go through day to day, thinking and stressing over money. Alright guys, that's it for my first review. Tell me what you guys thought in the comments below. If you like it, hit that thumbs up, subscribe. I'll definitely have more movie reviews in the future. This is Digital Product for the Digital Review. I'm out.